got me some notes here, but I'm going to talk about him a little bit from what I know. And so our speaker on this evening, it is a person that I have called a true friend for some time. Growing up together when we were younger in Green Park Terrace, going to school together and graduating together. Also, he is the godfather of my oldest son. And so we have spent a lot of time just talking. We don't talk every day, but when we do talk, we are always on one accord. And so I have this privilege just to introduce you to him and reintroduce for some others. And so our speaker on this evening is Donnell Bryant. And just, yeah, give him a hand. He has an amazing story. And so I hope you all will glean from it as you will understand why he's even receiving an award as one of the emerging trailblazers. So you will understand why he is truly deserving of this award. And just to give you a little brief info about Donnell, he is the director instructor for Craven Community College Barber program. And in this role, Donnell gets the opportunity to mentor and manage and educate the students that are coming through. He is the husband of Tracy Bryant, a father to their 5 beautiful children, and Pop to their 5 grandchildren. And so also, some of you may know him as the CEO and operator of Elite Barber Studio. And he has recently opened the first scalp, look this word, micropigmentation. And so he's doing some new things for this community. I know him to work and be a mentor for our children in the community as well as the adults. He is showing people a better way of life. When you get to hear his story, you will understand why he is the perfect person to present and to talk with us on this evening. So, with that being said, making sure I see him. With that being said, I would like to introduce to you all Mr. Donnell Bryant.
Good afternoon, beautiful people. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. All right. First off, I want to thank God for being here and making it to this point of being amongst some of these greatest people of New Bern, North Carolina. I really tried to figure out for a long time how do we get to these places when we see some of our, elders and individuals that's in those significant spots. And myself, I just sit and just been thinking, at some of the tables that I've been sitting at lately and being in a crowd of individuals like this, we would say our trailblazers and then our emerging, and amongst all these beautiful people here, I found out and did a little research and found out it's a thing called imposter syndrome. All right. And that imposter syndrome is when some people try to figure out how they get in some places. And I know why now. And it was basically the way all of us got to where we are and where we're going. It was about the 3 C's of life. The 3 C's of life. We got choices. Every one of us got choices. We have chances. All of us have chances. And we all have an opportunity to make change. That's how we get to these places. That's how I've gotten to this place. I think my sister Rashonda gave y'all a little bit about me, but I am from right here in New Bern. Born and raised right in Duffield, but actually was raised 100 yards down, right on West Street, is where my journey really started. It started as being from a family where I had my mother and my father. I have 2 brothers and a sister. My mother, or my grandmother and my grandfather, Miss Evelyn Bryant and James Bryant. A lot of individuals know him as Bo. That was my hero. But as I started coming up, it was more so me just trying to really figure this thing out. Went right here to New Bern High School, graduated, went off to college, went to St. Augustine's College in Raleigh. Did not do what I was supposed to do in college because it was not my passion. It wasn't nothing that I really looked forward to doing. It was really just to get away from home. But find out, even now today, I regret it to the fullest of going there first because I'm paying back the student loan, something that I did not obtain anything from but partying and turning my dorm room into a barbershop.
Amen.
And so therefore I went on to come back to New Bern to pretty much help my mother raise my siblings. My father at this time had left the home because of these things that came into this city and messed this city up back in the early 80s, 70s, which was drugs. I had to step up and start taking care of my brothers and sisters, well, my brothers and sisters, just to, like I say, kind of take some weight off the shoulder of my mom. And at that point, I had my own son as well. And when I had my son, that's when it seemed like I really understood what some older folks was telling me, such as Torrance was one major player in my life, of trying to keep me straight what he was saying when I graduated, welcome to the real world. And I didn't quite understand it until I had my own child and had to really be introduced to this real world of responsibilities, doing the things that was necessary. And again, making changes. As I moved on, started taking care of my son and doing what I was supposed to do, I ended up getting married. Stayed married for a real short time. Very toxic relationship. And by this time of getting married, I had another daughter, well, I actually had 2 more daughters. Got to a point where it was real tough, real toxic. Trying to go through barber school because that's where I should have went first instead of going to St. Aug. And now, like I say, all these years later, still paying back a student loan. Should have went to barber school then. But again, what we don't know, we just don't know. Was able to get to that point of going to barber school, and during barber school, it seemed like in life, when we are really trying to do something, that's when the most trouble really hinders us. That's when all of the devil come out, I should say. And at that point, that's when you really got to figure out our choices, our chances, and the changes that we have to make. Along with making those decisions as going through, got to a point where going through a divorce, going to barber school, trying to figure out I'm gonna be here for my kids, to make sure I take care of the kids. So a 9-month course led me to take 5 years to finish. Barber school, that's all it was then, 9 months. and it took me 5 years to finish it. The whole time going through, it was a real fight. Trying to figure these things out. Lost a lot. Was in the streets pretty much still 1 foot in, 1 foot out, trying to, do the best I could. Got in a little bit of trouble. And that first time of getting in trouble, it wasn't because of me, it was because I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And our parents tell us all the time coming up, pick your friends wisely. Pick your friends wisely. Don't be in places you don't belong, and be obedient. Well, yeah, I went against all that and learned the hard way. First time getting a charge, being locked up for something I had nothing to do with. And the media, the news, was right there when it happened. They had my face plastered all on the news, all over everywhere, as if I was the kingpin. And I had never sold not one drug at that point. Not one. But I felt it was a big embarrassment to my family. I felt it was a big embarrassment to this town for being put in that position. At this time, I had to make a choice of how I was going to go forward. And going forward, I had to distance myself from individuals. I had to kind of go in this little turtle shell, because now my family was looking at me sideways. Friends that I thought was friends, which I really understand now was just associates, started looking at me sideways, started turning their back on me. And at the same time going through the struggle of this relationship. I got to this point where, as I say, I got to do what I have to do for me and mine. I can't worry about what these people going to think about me. They're going to talk about you if you're doing good. They're going to talk about you if you're doing bad. So let's do what we got to do. Became a single father. But before coming that, the single father, my grandfather told me something when I got in that trouble. My grandfather told me one day, he said, boy, I'm going to tell you right now, if I ever find out that you had something to do with drugs and this situation that you're in, he said, I would disown you. He said, I won't have nothing else to do with you. Again, that was my hero. And when my grandfather told me that, that pierced my soul. I made up my mind at that point, I got to start doing right, because I wanted to prove to him I had nothing to do with it, which I didn't. And they came out later. Becoming that single father, raising the kids, I had 2 girls and 1 boy at the time. There was a lot of doubt there. There was a lot of people in this city that was doubting the situation. Being a young African-American father, dreads, street clothes, didn't understand the assignment at the time, but it was a lot of stereotyping. I did everything that a mother was to do, raising my kids. My youngest child was 9 months old when I got custody of him. My other 2 was, I think it was 7 and 8, or 7 and 9, if I'm not mistaken. I started understanding the respect of a woman. Being up all times of night, sitting up in social services, filling out these papers, having to go and make sure you get your food stamp, the papers that you had to do every few months, the research, whatever it was. Just sitting and having to deal with all that. Like I said, the only thing I didn't do as a mother was breastfeed. That was it. Everything else, I understood. So I started having this thing, and understanding women a lot more and their roles that they take on. Well, raising my kids, it was, like I said, it was tough. My oldest 2 was diagnosed with ADHD and ADD. And it was tough for them going through school And it was tough for me trying to finish up school and at the same time be able to work in the barbershop. Because it was often that teachers was bringing my kids to the school, back to the shop, because of, I say, they didn't want to deal with them because of their situations. And at this point, I feel like we didn't have the teachers that we had back in the days, that real agape love, the teachers that really taught with a passion. I felt like it was more so the ones that taught and they was teaching, for a check. And it was more so they was just pretty much showing up and going through the motions. And any kid that gave them any kind of feedback in a negative way or distractions, they was to remove them instead of help them or tolerate them. So they would often bring my kids to the barbershop, drop them off in the shop, head on back. So nowadays I'm trying to raise the kids at the barbershop, trying to cut hair at the same time, make sure they're on point, make sure my clients are on point, and make sure that I was on point. And through it all, I still try to figure out how did I stand up in that shop each day, smiling and laughing and joking with my people as if I wasn't dealing with all of everything. But moving on, I was able to pretty much get in a position of finishing school, and I got my license, and at this point in life I started just, praying often, for a wife. I started praying for a wife. I said, God, this is hard trying to do it by myself, and I didn't just want a girlfriend, I wanted a wife. And what I understood was you have to be very specific in your prayers and praying, and that's exactly what I was, very specific in my prayers. I know what type of wife I wanted. And there was a song that came out back then. This was when the cell phones didn't have a record and all this. It was just a little basic phone. The only way you was able to have something recorded was put it on record and put it to a speaker to record. And there was a song that came on one day. I forget the lady now, I want to say who said something, but it was God Send Me an Angel. And I recorded that and I left it there for months, on top of months, if not years. With God Send Me an Angel from the heaven above. And he sent me that angel right in the middle of all this turmoil, which is my wife today. I knew I had a real one when she came in. And didn't come with this mother figure. She had one child, I had three. But I say any woman that's willing to come in with just one child and take on the role of being, that mother as for three that's not theirs, that's a real one. From day one, it was nothing but respect. She never tried to force my kids and calling her mother and all this, I'm your mama, this and that. No, she never did that. From day one, she let them know I'm here to nurture you and love you, give you the nurturing that your dad can't give you. Which again, I was a little rough around the end. I never saw my mom and dad give kisses. I never saw my grandparents kiss. I never saw them hold hands. I never saw that affectionate side. So I didn't know that. When my girls got in trouble, I treated them as if it was my boy. Stop crying and go sit down somewhere. Cut that mess out. It wasn't to hug and give them a kiss on the forehead and, just really just rub their back when they fall down and scrape their knee. It wasn't that type of love until she came in. And she was able to start showing me how to really give them the nurturing and loving that they were supposed to have. And I'll forever be grateful for her. But moving on, and we start trying to build a household, and we start getting together and doing what we was doing, and then all this trouble just started coming because the kids started going haywire. They started doing this little resistant thing again. No, this wasn't their mother. But they had family members and other people in their ear, that ain't your mama. You ain't got to listen to them. You ain't got to do this, do it. Okay. And the kids started bucking. My thing was, listen, y'all need to stop treating my kids this way and telling them this because y'all don't have to deal with them. We do. Kids started getting in trouble. Son was just going haywire. I get a phone call one day on a Monday. Get a phone call from the school, and they telling me, well, Mr. Bryant, we need you to stay right there to the house. We're on your way to the house. And I'm like, okay, who is this on my way to the house? I mean, on your way to my house. It says the New Bern Police Department. I'm like, hold on, what you coming here for? They say, we actually found a weed bag on your son's person. I said, a weed bag? Well, he didn't get it from here. I don't know what you're talking about. Well, will you be there so we can come? I said, come on. They came, searched my house, ramshacked the house, went through, didn't find out one weed bag. Come to find out it was something my son found on the school bus, and he told them from the beginning. They didn't believe him. But upon them coming in and searching, I ended up having a firearm that was registered. I surrendered my firearm that was registered and told them, got a firearm, it's registered, I don't want no trouble. 9 months later, out of the blue, these people that I'd never seen before, these was different police. They had stars on their belt and the badges was all right here. It wasn't the regular New Bern police. Come to find out, these were federal agents. They asked me to come downtown. When I get downtown, they say they just want to talk to me at this time again. We were still girlfriend, boyfriend, but she didn't have any kind of obligations to be with me or my kids at this time. He took me downtown, got me downtown, and walked in the door. The officer slammed the door behind me and turned around and slapped me in my chest with a stack of papers. He said, you're being indicted for a felon in possession of a firearm. I had no clue what was going on, didn't understand, because I'm not a felon. The firearm is registered. Where is this coming from? Long story short, went through all kind of mess. Basically, that night, I was shipped to the federal prison out in Raleigh. When I told my kids I would be right back for them sitting outside in the van with my little brother, it was a little bit of time before I got back to my kids. I had no clue what was getting ready to happen. But going through all these troubles and obstacles and things, and it seemed like it was just getting worse and just getting worse. But me and my then girlfriend, we started to be on, more on one of accord, because she did not leave me through all of this trouble that I was going through. And when I left in that midst of time, she was the one that came and took my kids. And she stayed there with my kids. Out in the middle of Raleigh, when I did get released, because they told them, when I went in front of the judge, you need to release this man right now. He is not a felon. He have a misdemeanor, but it's not a felon. They released me, and I say, okay, y'all releasing me, but how am I going to get back to New Bern? They said, you got to figure that out yourself. You're not in our custody no more. Thank God I was just a few ways down from St. Aug. Didn't have a dime to my pocket. They done took my shoestrings and then took my belt. Thought I was going to try to do something to myself. I wasn't going to hurt myself. I just wanted to get home. On the way walking down to St. Aug, I'm just trying to figure something out. Maybe I'll be able to use somebody's phone to call my people, because nobody really knew where I was at this time. I was able to make that phone call, and I got in contact with an aunt that got in contact with my mom. They said they came and got me. Within about 2 or 3 hours, they was right there picking me up. Coming on home, doing what I was supposed to do, trying my best, making the right choices, so I thought. Got connected with a church. And being connected with this church, I just knew we was on the right path. Come to find out, I was on the wrong path. As we had a meeting at the school to discuss my kids, and the individual church, yes, they had helped me out a lot. They was doing a lot of things for me and my kids, because we didn't have a lot. And come to find out, at this meeting, I walked in a little early, and there was an individual that was from that church that was in there talking amongst a crowd of Caucasian individuals, and she was saying, yeah, we done had to help the Bryant family with this, and we had to give them that for Easter. We had to help them. And I overheard this, and they didn't know I was out there. Again, soul pierced. I walked right to the meeting. I ran from churches. Tried to figure it out on my own. Kept running into walls. till I was able to get in a position to meet my pastor. When I met my pastor, Pastor James McGovern Jr. at Without Limits, that's my pastor. When I met this young man, he was like a person that I'd never met before. He started speaking into us and speaking into my family, and he started showing us things and helping me identify who I was. He helped me understand what faith was. I never knew what seed time and harvest was upon this until this time. And then we started understanding, we started following the assignment. We started doing everything that we supposed to do, how it was supposed to have been done. Still, all the trouble going on, but it seemed like the troubles were getting a little easier of knowing how to deal with this stuff. Again, choices, chances, change. Me and my wife got on one accord. We started letting the kids know, if y'all want to keep knucking and y'all want to keep bucking, y'all gonna be in trouble because you're gonna be 18 soon now. So you better figure it out. So once we got on that one accord, and I started understanding, once you get married, your wife is supposed to be the highest under God. Then your mother, father, then your kids. Once I understood that, and at first I'm like, hold on, my wife over my kids, so I go with my wife, not with my kids. And to say, you know what, them kids, they're not obligated to you, they're not committed to you. Yes, they are yours, that's your bloodline, but at 18, they're gonna leave you. Your wife is gonna be there, and you're gonna be trying to put out fires while they're gone. So once we got on that accord and we understood the assignment, we say, okay, the kids understood, it's all right, act how you wanna act, do what you wanna do, it's just a matter of time now. 18 coming. But as we started really getting on that accord, we started getting in the right position, being around the right people, we cut a lot of people off, and we started, with our first business, and it was a blessing to us. I was out of the blues. It was a blessing to us. Got the first business. It was a real small business, but it was our first business. And the individual told me, he said, man, Dino, listen, it don't take a lot of room to make a lot of money. He said, so take this and run with it. Within about 6 or 7 months or so, I had an opportunity because I kept looking at the building right up the street. I said, I like that building, I like the parking lot, and it's a lot bigger, I like that. Again, Pastor also taught me how to start, confess and speak those things into your life as though they already were. Started speaking those things into existence, what I wanted for my family. And one day out of the blue, I just say, I'm gonna go check on this building and see about it. And I called my pastor, told him what I was doing. He said, I'm on my way over there. He said, we're gonna pray on this building. Got there, he met me in the parking lot, we got out there, put our hands on the window, we prayed on it. Then my pastor said, Dino, I need you to call the owner of this building. I'm like, call him for what? He said, see what he talking about, money-wise. What he talking about with this building? I said, Pastor, I ain't got a dime in my pocket. He said, that's all right, still call. I forgot that, speak those things into existence just that quick. But I had to be obedient and did just that. Made the call, everything was good. Landlord came out there. Before we left, I had the keys in hand. Again, things started happening, and it wasn't, like I say, able to explain. I called my wife because her office was right next door. Anybody knew where the old Trailblazers was? It used to be Carolina Home Medical there. She was at Carolina Home Medical. I was right next door. And I told her, babe, I'm right next door. She said, what you doing there? I said, I'm trying to look at this building. She said, babe, we ain't got no money. Why are you wasting that man's time? I told her how much everything was. My wife ended up hanging up the phone. And she called me right back. She said, babe, I'm gonna tell you something. Because I had a child support card, and I gave her the card because I wasn't getting no child support. So I ain't paying no attention to the card. You're supposed to call this number every month. I forgot about it for years. My wife called me right back. She said, babe, for some odd reason, she said, something came over me and just told me to call this number and see if there was some money on this card. And she called, she said, babe, we got $6,500 sitting on this card. Do you want to get that building? I said, babe, write the check. At that point, again, y'all, just started moving on, doing the right thing, got into that building, and it basically got to that point where as things started taking a turn for the right, and I understood my assignment. But through all that, I had to go back to my root, which was my grandmother, because my grandmother at one point is the reason why I'm still standing here today. Because it got to a point where when raising the kids and I was in there by myself, I lost my hero. And that hero was my grandfather. When I lost my grandfather, I didn't know if I was going or coming. I just didn't know what to do. And I thought I need to end it all because I'm trying to take care of my brothers and sisters, trying to take care of my kids, and just didn't know how I was going to make it without my hero. Put my kids in the bed one night and just said it was it. Gave them their kiss. Had the fire on. I was going on down to the cemetery at the end of Dufferfield. And God just knew that was it. But it was something that I now understood because I was following that assignment. I started understanding it was the Holy Spirit that was telling me, go down Goldsboro Street. Don't go down Lincoln. Go down Goldsboro. And going by Goldsboro, I saw my grandmother's light on. I said, okay. I brought my light on. It ain't usually on like that. I go to my grandma's house. Took the fire on, I put it up, knocked on the door, and I told Grandma. When she came to the door, she was like, what are you doing? I said, Grandma, I just need to talk to you. I said, what you want? I said, Grandma, she said, I told her, I said, I just want to lay down and be at peace. I don't want to be hurt. I don't want to hurt nobody, but Grandma, I'm just tired. And Grandma told me, she said, baby, I'm thinking Grandma, I'm going to tell me, come on, let me give you a hug, and it's all right, baby. Grandma said, I need you to go in that living room and I need you to get that book that's on the table. Book? Grandma, I don't read like that. That ain't what I do. But I listened to my grandma and I went and got that book and I found that book was called A Purpose-Driven Life. That book changed my life. That book gave me the purpose and understanding of being here and why I was here. And as we're going on, that always played on me. I was supposed to go that way just for that book, the purpose. Now everything starts to come into play. As I make that change, start doing the right thing, start getting with the right people, started getting away from the wrong people, I understood that if you want to go further in life, you got to make sure you start starving the distractions and you got to feed the focus. Come on. As I started starving the distractions and started feeding the focus, I went back to school. I went to Wake Tech to get my master educator, something I didn't think I was worthy in getting because I didn't see myself as an educator. I saw myself as little Donnell from Dufferfield. But I started understanding my worth, and I did just that. Went on and got my license as being an educator. In just a few months, I had to shut down the businesses that I love so much because the people that was there was distractions. God told me one night on the ride back from Raleigh, you need to get away from that table if you are the smartest one there. Remove yourself. I didn't quite understand it, but a little while later, I got it. One day, I'm in the shop trying to study for this big exam I had, and I see everybody else that was in there working with me. They were playing around, they shooting dice, and they laughing and joking, and I'm sitting here. The light bulb went off. This is what he was talking about. Get away from the distractions. I had to make a choice to sell the business that I love. Sold the business, got away from that business. God put me in a little spot by myself, right behind Kentucky Fried Chicken. Nobody knew it was there. It's in a little tucked area. And that's sitting in that little area, that's when God really started talking to me. He was getting the things to me. He was getting the messages to me that he wanted to get to me. And then that's when everything started to happen with the change. The real change started coming. Because just in a few months, I went from being that dude Dino in the streets that was known for doing a lot of crazy stuff and selling not the drugs. Some people say all of it's drugs, but I was just selling marijuana, a little marijuana, that's it. But anyway, people just, I started getting away from all of that. Didn't have nothing else to do with it because I was seeing going to the right direction. And with that, I started getting to the point of change. First thing I did was say, okay, I'm gonna change the way I dress. So I realized with changing the way I dress, I had to get away from the street mentality, so I got to get out of them clothes that would be the thug clothes, the t-shirt, the Air Ones, the sweatsuits and all. So I got to the point and said, okay, I'm going to change it up. Give me some little shirts. Wifey got me some little faded glory shirts from Walmart. Got me some khakis, got me some little topsiders. I thought I was something. Started walking around with my shirt tucked in, people laughing at me. The homies, I thought. But at the same time, I was trusting the process. And as I started trusting the process, I started to do the change. And as I started changing, I started peeling off the clothes and changing up my wardrobe. And it got to the point where I said, okay, I like this. People started saying, where you going at today, man? You look real good, man. I'm going to school. You going to school? What you doing at school? I'm a teacher now. Okay, that's all right, dude. So as I got into that point, thank you, Bill, of being now a teacher, I really started had to get things together, get it right. So I started continue to change and change and change. And as I started changing, I started getting to the point and I said, you know what? This change thing is gonna be all right for me. I like it. I like it. But it was one thing that was holding me back. The one thing that was holding me back for the most, because everybody knew the dude, Dino with dreads. You know, the dude, the barber, the dude, Dino, the one with the dreads. That's the one you need to go see. He the one, this and that. Okay. All right. So with that change, I said, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna cut these dreads off. These dreads off. So when I got to that point of cutting the dreads off, I said, okay. Now I changed the dreads up. Now I got to get out them little topsiders that my wife bought me. Let me get me some real dress shoes. So when I got my real dress shoes, I started walking a little different. Started acting a little different with people. Thank you, baby. Y'all see how she helped me change? She was that woman. She's been helping me change the whole time. And y'all see, as of today, she's still helping me change. So now that I'm out the streets and I'm able to start teaching, I'm getting that. And I'm about done now. So I went on and started teaching, got to that point where the business that I sold that I love so much, I had a call one day and the gentleman said, Mr. Bryant, do you want your business back? I said, yes. I called my wife, I told her, babe, the man said I can have my business back, babe. She said, well, babe, that's right. She said, because now you can take the students that you're teaching and put them into business and help them grow. I said, that's what's gonna happen. We did that. And we're still doing that as of today. As of today, I have now been able to help a lot of individuals come through Craven Community College Barber School. Not just the individuals through the school, a lot of kids and mentoring kids and helping kids out and getting to this point now whereas it's an addiction to keep helping people. And I try to teach every individual that I come into contact with to give. Keep giving. I didn't understand how much of a giver, I was and how important the giving was until now, being here amongst these great individuals. Being able to move on and to get to the point where I am now, just got my certification in scalp micropigmentation. That's another level in life that I'm thankful for, but I'm still going to use it to help people. So again, I thank every one of you guys that's in here. Everyone that poured into my life, everybody that I have been looking at for years and years on growing, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all to the fullest. The emerging, and we say the OGs. We appreciate y'all, we respect y'all, and we definitely looking to y'all to continue to show us how to keep right on helping others grow. Thank y'all.